many streams, okay? But anyways, this is the cube of space. This is everything in creation, but this is way multidimensional as I've been through this. There's an above and below. This has got the heavens, this is already from the top, it's here all the way down to Malkut, all right? This is multi-dimensional. Now, on the left here is we have Bina, one of her, and this is what will happen that if you don't understand, let me just give you this very encrypted verse. I won't unpack it, but from the Song of Songs, Song of Solomon, right? Very encrypted word. It wasn't even going to be included in the Tanakh. This is from the Song of Songs, and it's, talks here, it says, I am black but comely, all right? Now that's a very kind of phrase that you wouldn't normally, it's a little scary, all right? What does it mean? In the lower levels, people are talking skin color, talking about black people, what are they talking about here? Okay, and this is where we can free ourselves. This is where knowledge is power, because it releases you from wrong doctrine or shackles or prison, where your mind is encased in really lower level and in many instances profane and denicatory thought process. Bina is known as night. This is what she is known as. Fire. She is known as black. She is known as night. Okay, so what they are referring here, and she is also in this whole thing, the shepherd is pursuing her, is in one level, it is written as a love story, and the shepherd is really pursuing this black princess. But no, it's his queen. This is talking about Bina. She is equated, and if you study out in Genesis, what's so interesting, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Now, I can't unpack that, but darkness is equated with Bina, all right? The very first thing, and what I have to say here with fire, and this took me a long time to understand, I said, fire has many different properties in the different worlds it's in, but in the highest world, it is a transparent, it is not luminous, all right? So when you think of fire, it's of darkness and of night. It is really, this is the best I can understand it right now. Darkness, it is all primordial. And this is where they're saying Tahu Bahu. It is all the primordial, which is what's really true, because everything went into Bina. It is the primordial soup in a way that's it's unformed. It is transparent in the sense of it's so deep, I can't even go into it. Everything is in Bina, but she has not really produced any children yet, or any of all that information, anything that is recognizable, all right? This is a really important understanding to have. So what I want to say is this is not a war of good and evil, masculine and feminine, which I said last week. This is just a mental understanding of darkness isn't bad. Darkness is just a state of being that does not have, has not manifested itself. And you have to understand into everything that was in the original mind of the creator, all right? So it's still in a very translucent, transparent, unformed state initially, all right? So it's like I said, and this concept is carried over when you understand the analogies of moon shines at night, right? So that would make sense. And the concept of the moon being used to as a symbol for the divine feminine, Shekinah, another word people should get familiar with when we're talking about Bina, and Malkut, which is Bina, and Shekinah, which is the mother and the daughter. See, this whole thing is the Godhead. And in many levels, oh my gosh, it's going to take a long time to get everyone up to speed. But, the Trinity, the classic Christian Trinity, oh my gosh, you're just going to have to grow past that, because two men did not make a baby. It just doesn't work that way. It's the male and the female coming together in unity it creates progeny. All right. This is another reason why it is the absolute foundational, I've said this before, concept to get, because it's the groom and it's the bride. It is the heavens and it's the earth. Now, one thing I have to say, this thing you have to be able to turn it. All right. It is actually kind of directionless. There's many different divisions, ways you can turn this, which would cause divisions. And it talks about that Yahweh separated the upper waters from the lower waters. Okay, what he's talking about there, if you took this, the lower waters is considered the left side. All right, the left side includes Bina, Gevira, and Hod, these Sefiroth, and we'll finally get down to, remember, I'm just on Bina, just to Keter and Hod, so we'll get to all this, but the point is Hod into Yesod and Malkut. It flows like this, but it is primarily the left side. It's very important to understand when you get to Gevira, there's some real deep information about Gevira, all right? But this is known as the lower waters. This whole 2 columns. So this is the pillars. Again, recognize, the left pillar, the middle pillar, and the right pillar. That's another way they code it. But the right and the middle pillar are kind of together. All right, they're unified. They don't really have, there's a real disunification. There's a real split that goes on between the left, let me say this, between the left side and the right side, between the heavens and the earth. The disconnect comes here. But let me say this, the way you can even get this is in the math. When it talks about common understanding of everybody, that 1/3 of the angels fell. Remember that? 1/3 of the angels fell, but 2/3 of them stayed loyal. So, oh my gosh, we got 2/3 on our side to fight against 1/3. Well, they get that concept, which is really kind of true. They get that from making the divisions this way. And if you took this and turned it so that the left side here was on the bottom, and that became, that's the lower waters. And then these two represent the upper waters, because actually, okay, now it gets even a little trickier because, because actually right now, I do believe a part of our issue is that it got flipped. When it says that, I've said this before, that when it says that Hasatan, or whoever you want to, Lucifer wanted to elevate his throne above the stars of heaven. In other words, he wanted that this thing got flipped, and the earth is on a tilt. The earth did tip over its axis, and actually the left side in some ways functions above or on top of this, and this is part of all the rectification. Get Humpty Dumpty righted and put back together again. I mean, at so many levels, it's crazy. But see that we'll get to these things, but understanding Shekinah as the daughter of Bina, and understanding that feminine in Malkut, understanding the world, because Bina is called the mother. That's not an accident. Mother of all living. So all living will finally manifest down here on the earth, which I've called physicality, which is the earth. And so the earth, this is why they refer to Mother Earth. And it's the mother of all living. That's exactly what they're doing. Okay, so we have 2 names up here. I have Elohim and Yahweh. It's funny. This is one of the problems that people have. The primary Hebrew name we understand Yahweh by is Yahweh Elohim, the Lord our God, or the Lord God, all right? God equates to Elohim, okay? Elohim is translated God. And then a lot of times when it gets into the Hebrew, it's gods, it's plural. Now, this is an important distinction that you really got to know and believe, because it's true. And Yahweh refers, so in other words, Bina actually is, when you use Elohim, you are really talking about the left side, the female principle, and she is pregnant. This is the whole point. Theologically, what they're telling you, the reason why it's pluralized is because she is pregnant because of this huge download that she just got from Keter Holkma into her vessel, her earth, the womb is so point. She gives birth to all these lower 7 Sephirothic energies, all right? She really has, and this is in this, 6 sons and a daughter, This is parallel, when I've quoted this in the story of Leah, who gave Jacob 6 sons and then a daughter, Diana. So there's these things are out there it's amazing. Now, Elohim, this is really important to understand, refers to Bina. Shekinah is her energy that I guess is closest to us. The daughter, sister, my bride. Abraham, she was, his sister, but his bride. See, he's not lying. In a lot of ways, she represents. Okay, but the point I want to make here is Elohim is the left side, is the feminine principle, is the name for this whole Sephirothic part of the Godhead, because all these actually have Hebrew names of God attached to them. Okay, Yahweh, Yod He Vav He is totally the middle pillar. Okay, Elohim is the left side. Now, in your text, when Shekinah, and so it really represents, Elohim refers to Bina, who eventually gave birth to Zerampin and to Shekinah. Okay, now, when the texts are talking in a Sephirothic relationship amongst the Godhead of holy emanations and energies and holy attributes of Elohim, then that Elohim plural or Elohim, we are talking about the divine, the holy divine feminine mother of all living. All right, when not, then it is referring outside the Godhead, and then it will refer to angels, false gods, or bad human judges. See, this was important. I know a lot of people couldn't figure this out. Elohim outside of the Godhead, because there are other gods. See, and this is the whole point when you understand the hierarchy. She gives birth, yes, to the Sefiroth, but they find there are angels involved in all this. There's other players, so to speak. So the angels and many of the archangels, they're referred to as demigods. I mean, there is hierarchy. There is her deputies. There are, from Bina's deputies, her servants, her, that do her bidding, so to speak. So in that sense, there is a relationship to pluralizing Elohim. But if not, it refers to false gods who want to project themselves. Believe me, that's a big problem out there in the spirit world, or angels, or even bad human judges, which is like the kings of the earth, okay, which is another whole huge story. So you've got this concept of Elohim and Yahweh. Yahweh refers to the 2/3, the right pillar and the middle pillar that really are always working together, are never separate. That's why in Keter and Hokmah, coming down straight next to Hesed, which is really love. God is love. The loving kindness of Elohim far outweighs, okay, any evil intended from the left side, because this is where evil exists. The other side, the battle is on this left side, and this rectification is quite a work in the making, but it will have a consummation. Okay, so that's a little bit of that. Now let me say, Eve and Adam are two sides of this same coin, but Adam, up at this level where we are, this is called Adam Kadmon. This is very deep. The foundation stone from Keter. This is a supernal sublime, the stone that breaks all the rocks. But what I want to say about this, we're not talking about literal Adam and Eve, the first progenitors of us, let's say the humankind. It's not used on the literal level of humankind. Adam and Eve, these are archetypes. These are archetypal concepts. That's where it gets into the mother of all living. So this is the heavenly mother and the heavenly father. All right, very important to understand that. Like I said, and this is why Paul, see, when you understand these concepts, you can read a phrase, like I read Paul, people read this, like the man is the head of the woman, or a husband is the head of the wife. Husband and wife is the same thing, all right? Bride and groom, male and female, okay? They're all talking about the same concept. But when the head is the head of the husband, the head of the wife, it's talking about, before her was Hokmah and Bina. The male energies came into the female. This was done by Yahweh. He separated He separated the waters. I didn't, right? That's in the text. Yahweh separated the upper waters from the lower waters, okay? We had nothing to do with it. All right, way before our time. So this is really important to understand, okay? To clear that up. So then you have the head of the woman explaining that, the 1/3 and the 2/3, when you understand these relationships. Nature, another big understanding that the Jews have always had, which again has been lost, is really, and it's coming back and it's being reintroduced in a way, but it's only in a pagan way. That's not going to do us any good, all right? So nature is truly, again, the concept of the left side of Elohim that comes into manifestation, okay, in physicality. Because the vessel, the concept, you can always see the vessel. Usually this is the concept, all right? Think of Bina. She is the house. She's the palace. She's the womb. She's up there, all right? The high tower, the high mountain, kind of almost inaccessible. It takes a lot to get up there, right? Through many trials and tribulations, I have already come, right? This is why, and again, you cannot worship the Creator. This is a big trip up, and this is, again, what paganism has done. They haven't really, it wasn't revealed to them, or they really, as the story goes, we chose Israel. They did not want to give up their other gods. They did not want to give up interaction with the other gods, the other forces in the cosmos, and just worship and acknowledge the one high God. The one thing the Jews have done, and this is the whole point, they have stayed true in acknowledging that there is a high God, the most high Elohim. All right, God. All right, so nature is a big understanding in the womb. And this is the point with the male and the female, that earth, Mother Earth, she is the womb of everything. She gives birth to everything, all right? So that is not an accident. And it's all because it's in the language, and it's all because the language originally has been telling us from the top down, from the most spiritual, sublime, mental concept of Elohim, all the way down into pure physicality, what you finally call the first two humans, made after the image of their primordial mother and father, male and female, Adam and Eve, okay? So, and this is the seed. Now, the other thing I was saying about this, nature is visible. This is the whole point, you can see it. The vessel you can always see. What you don't always see is what's inside. This is another huge principle that I've been about the inside and the outside. You can wash the outside of the vessel, but if you don't clean the inside, it's still completely, the whole thing is really completely contaminated. This is where they're getting these concepts. All right, it's a twofer. You got to clean the inside and you got to clean the outside. All right, they got to go together. They have to be rectified and unified and brought up to speed on things. Because Chogma and Bina it's our left brain and our right brain. We are definitely wired to function, and this is what they've done with all these theologies, with the letters and the words and what they're saying, and relating it to literally men and women. Because if you think about it fundamentally, we are a great archetype, because we know we're the most highly functioning part of all of creation is the Adamite. All right. And we know that all of our storylines talk about a great fall. And that's really kind of a universal concept in a lot of things. But we are being back elevated to an original or a higher or a greater or a more ancient way, let's just say. So when you get down here to the concept of the heavens are invisible, you can't see what goes on the inside of a vessel, but through study, you can learn. Okay, it's the point. Just because you can't see inside the car doesn't mean it's forever inaccessible to you. You can learn how to run a car, fix a car, how it runs. The same thing Yahweh says. We can know him. If you seek me with all your heart, there's tons to know. All right? Or you can and a lot of people just worship him as nature. All right? That God in creation, and he is beautiful, and it is wonderful, and it is a display of his glory. This is the bride adorned for her husband on the good sense. So that's what I wanted to impart right now. Let's just start with that. Let me iterate. The concept in the male and the female polarities and it creates a dualism. It's done on purpose, and it is a beautiful, and I'm going to show you. Let me just end with two things to whet your appetite really quick. Some of the ways in which these things relate to how other ways in which Bina is coded in there, this male and female. She is not only, you know, you've heard of the 50 gates of understanding. She is Jubilee. She is 50. This is the cycles, which she is the palace, the womb. She is called Who, capital W-H-O, which is another whole deep way they encode and encrypt her. She's a river branching out into 7 streams, a river into Zer on Pin, as I told you, okay? She is Lebanon, identified in Jewish tradition with Jerusalem. See, this is the whole point. She is the temple. That's why Shekinah finally, Shekinah holds all the souls of Israel down here. She is the holding tank. You know, she is the lower temple. There is a heavenly temple, but she is collecting all those souls, keeping all those souls. This is where they get it. She is the oral Torah, all right? The oral Torah is Bina, invisible. The written Torah, this is Tiferet, where it comes down into manifestation. We'll be seeing more of that. She is the Sabbath. She is the Sabbath queen. She is the 7th cycle, the 7th day, the day you rest, the day that everything is at peace. It never ends. She is called all. She is, all right, and let's just go into one of the most profane, which cracks me up. Listen, people, get your head out of the Eastern religions in the sense. They have a semblance of truth, but they will not bring you up to the Most High Elohim, all right, ultimately. But the point is, yin and yang, again, they're not wrong. Yin and yang, the male and the female principle, and it is no accident. Again, yang is male, all right? And it is, and even in Chinese understanding, they're telling you the exact same kind of Kabbalistic understanding I told you. Yin is the female, and yin is always paired with the earth, darkness, receptivity. She is the passive, receiving in the womb, the active, the male principle. So this is ancient. This is true. It is Hebraic. It is from our Father. And I say we need to really press in, make rectification, make peace with our Heavenly Mother, and understand what is being imparted to us by revelation in these last days. So on that all note, shalom, and I'll be back. Blessings and shalom.